How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the FireStorm podcast. I am Trent, joined as always by Gus.
Hi!
And today we will be discussing the art of professional wrestling.
It is an art. It's a very complicated art. And, you know, people still like to tell us that it's fake, like we don't actually know that it's fake.
Every day, my sister fucking at least kicks down my door and says, Trent, why are you watching wrestling? It's fake. And I'm like, why do you watch The Block?
Fake.
It's a bunch of people building a house.
It's fake.
It's all television drama, alright? It's all television and it's all scripted. All, like, literally any movie, any TV show, it's all scripted. It's all... Except
for the sports. Other than wrestling, the sports aren't scripted, but
yeah,
you get
that's
the
where
idea.
wrestling comes in. Wrestling
it's television drama.
Wrestling is the mid-ground between sports and television dramas. And that's why it's fantastic. And I love the comparison that wrestling is anime and anime is wrestling.
Yeah, right?
It is. Except in more modern time, the storylines have just been all filler arcs because they're all fucking shit.
Right?
But... no,
hopefully that will change now that we have the Wednesday Night Wars hanging around.
Yes. We will be covering a few different topics throughout the duration of this episode. We have actually considered doing like live streams in the past before FireStorm podcasts was even coined up. Like we considered like just sitting and doing the Cultaholic drinking challenge for SummerSlam, and we nearly did that. Except
We kind of have, but we never recorded it.
No, like, we have talked and watched wrestling over Discord and had a few drinks here and there, but, like, it was so funny because I decided for the last WrestleMania I was going to do the Cultaholic drinking challenge. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, though, WrestleMania didn't start till, like, 10 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah.
And my parents actually thought I was an alcoholic. They were genuinely concerned. They said, Trent, we know things are getting stressful, but this is not the answer. And I'm like, this is not what you think.
This is not what you think.
This is not what you think. I don't even drink that often. I just had a couple beers in the fridge and I was just like, fuck it, I'll bring them upstairs.
Shit, man.
Anyway, I'm not an alcoholic. Next topic.
Next wrestling. Topic. Not about alcoholics.
Yes, so, we'll be covering a few different topics based around wrestling here, but let's start off with how we actually got into wrestling.
Yep.
And just letting you know, we might do future episodes based on a certain event in wrestling or a certain, like, say for example, we might do an episode based on WrestleMania next time WrestleMania comes around, just talking about what we thought of the event or something like that. We might do other wrestling focused episodes, but for now we're just going to cover a general basis of professional wrestling.
We've considered doing fantasy booking, like when WrestleMania season comes around. I think that would be fun. Like we could kind of, given like maybe around Royal Rumble time, we could be like, here's who I want to win the Royal Rumble, stuff like that. Here's where I would go with it. Something fun like that.
I'll definitely be into that. That sounds like a good plan. Anyway, I'll let you go first. How did you get into wrestling?
Okay, so it started when I was very young. I think I was probably around 10 or 11 when I first got into it. And so it was actually around the time when, obviously it was WWE. I got in around the kind of, I think it was either right at the start or right at, like, in the middle of the Nexus angle in 2010.
That was... good, but not. It didn't live up to the potential.
So here's the thing, right? Everyone looks back on the Nexus thing as like one of the biggest wasted opportunities in WWE. Well, if you had asked me, 10, 11-year-old kid, I was ecstatic when Team WWE beat the Nexus at SummerSlam, because I was like, yeah, John Cena wins! Yeah, John Cena wins! Because, that was, John Cena wins! But, 11-year-old me, I was very excited when that happened because I was like, oh, the Nexus they're so bad. Get out of here. You guys suck. And so I was very happy about that. Obviously, in the time since, I've learned why it was a wasted opportunity. But yeah, at the time, I was very excited about it. And then that kind of continued. I kind of got more and more into it. Well, maybe not more and more, but we went to my dad even brought me to a house show in Richmond one time, and that was when the Miz was like ultra heel, and because that's pretty much the one thing I remember from the house show is the Miz's promo, if that tells you anything, because he was like, Richmond fucking sucks, the classic like cheap heat from heels, and stuff.
But in PG version though.
Yeah, he didn't drop the F-bomb, but
hilariously we did, just out of nowhere. Fuck Richmond.
But yeah, so it was in like the Richmond Coliseum and shit. It was great. Obviously I loved it. I think my two brothers came along. My youngest brother was like 6 or 7 at the time. He fell asleep in the middle of a wrestling event. Pretty impressive. But yeah. So yeah, we did, and then that's actually like my dad still sometimes brings it up, like whenever he sees me watching wrestling or whatever. He's like, "Oh, I remember one time we went in we saw that one guy, the Miz, and he told us all we suck." That was like the one thing my dad remembers too.
Who's that man? Miz?
The Miz? I hate that guy. So yeah, I got more and more into it. Around, I was still watching when CM Punk did the pipe bomb promo. I didn't know what any of it meant at the time, obviously, because I was 11. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of CM Punk at first, and I wasn't really, obviously that was the time before the network, so we didn't really have access to the pay-per-views unless you wanted to pay $60 just to watch a few hours of television. So I was pretty much just watch Raw or SmackDown whenever I had a chance or remembered to. Eventually, as I got around 13 or 14 and went into my edgy phase, I started to like CM Punk a lot more, obviously, as most edgy kids do, because he was like the anti-hero figure. So yeah, I started to really like CM Punk. We got the WWE like 2K12 games and stuff. I remember spending a lot of time playing that game. 2K13. I spent the most time with whatever one CM Punk was on the cover of. I think it was 13 probably. Because that was when 12, he was. That one. Was it 12? Was it 12? It was either 12 or 13. Because whatever the year he was champion all year, it was that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then eventually I kind of got out of it around the time when CM Punk first lost. Actually, no, it was around that time where I started to get out of it, and it wasn't necessarily because CM Punk lost the championship. It was just like because I was losing interest. And I probably started to really get out of it around like after that Cena Rock rematch at WrestleMania 28 or 29.
So you started getting out of it then?
Yeah, that was probably when I got out of it. And so I didn't actually get back into it until around, I think, right at the start of 2017. Because I ended up at the very end of the very tail end of 2016, I ended up watching a bunch of clips on YouTube. So obviously I missed the whole Shield angle with Seth Rollins turning on everyone. That was supposedly really good. But I actually watched some clips from that night because I was older at that time, and I eventually got into watching the What Culture guys, who are now the Cultaholic guys. They're pretty much the only wrestling YouTubers I watch, and that's kind of how they kind of brought me back into it, basically. I learned all about the backstage, politics. I learned that it's, I had known it wasn't real, but I learned how it wasn't real. How they take bumps and everything's worked, or work versus shoot, all the terminology, thanks to the Cultaholic guys. So I've been watching since then, and the first pay-per-view I watched in this now, like, my renewed interest in wrestling was Royal Rumble 2017. And what a start that was, because we got Cena versus AJ Styles, which is, to this day, one of my favorite matches I've ever seen. That Cena AJ Styles match is really, really good at the Rumble. And Then it's just because like that was one of the first match where I was like, holy crap, wrestling is really good. And so yeah, and then since then I've been watching pretty consistently throughout 2017 and 2018 when I was still living at home. I would watch Raw and SmackDown pretty much just about every week. But that was because my parents had cable, and now that I'm living on my own in college, I don't have cable anymore because we're poor. But yeah, since then I've been watching pretty consistently. Obviously, nowadays I'm more into NXT because NXT is like the cool younger brother of the main roster. I found myself infinitely more invested in NXT because they consistently put on way better matches. Almost like in my opinion, I don't even know if the main roster has put on a match as good as that Cena AJ Styles match since that match. For over almost 3 years. Like there have been some that are on that level, but like as far as singles matches go, that one is really, really good. But NXT just blows it out of the water.
The annoying thing is, though, there's just so much content that they create and release. It's just hard to remember all the matches that have happened.
Yeah.
It's just hard to remember, and especially because there's so many bad ones, it's hard to remember the good ones. It's just like...
Yeah. I feel like if there... But, you know, I still remember that one to this day, and I feel like if there was another one on that level, I would have remembered it. But pretty much all the good NXT matches, like all of my favorites, I, like, can identify them to you. They are... Like, so... Takeovers are always... I always like spend all day thinking about Takeover whenever it's on. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out and get a whole shit ton of like soda and snacks and all this shit and watch Takeover and just have a fucking ball of a time. I do that for pay-per-views sometimes too, but Takeovers are just so much more fun because it's enjoyable wrestling from start to finish. And eventually I still don't really watch much of things outside of WWE and NXT. I'm interested in AEW, but I just don't have the means to watch it right now. I was kind of iffy on AEW just because I wasn't familiar with the characters very much. Like I pretty much knew Kenny Omega, and that was because I went out of my way to watch his matches with Okada back in 2017 because everyone was raving about them. So, and for good reason. But yeah, it was like he was pretty much the only character I was familiar with other than like Cody Rhodes and Jon Moxley. And I was kind of iffy. I was like, this is a new product. I'm not sure what to think of it just yet, and I'm not familiar with all the characters that I'm going to be seeing. But AEW...
Who do you think were your favorite wrestlers before you got out of wrestling?
Probably
for that brief stint?
Yeah. So it was probably Punk, Cena for the first bit. I still like Cena. Like I still think he's underappreciated. There was some more. Mysterio was a big favorite of mine as a kid. Some more, obviously the big baby faces. Because I was a kid. I liked all the big baby faces pretty much.
I was that kid in the front row wearing nothing but John Cena stuff. No, that's not true. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, we were all kids, so we all just kind of had the same general observation of WWE.
Yeah. Oh, and obviously AEW also has Chris Jericho. But I was gonna say AEW, they officially got me hooked this past week when Cody punched through the glass. That shit was awesome.
No, that entire segment was just phenomenal.
That was fantastic.
Because it was pure chaos. And even when Jericho stole that guy's crutch, like, I don't think that was intentional. Yeah. But that was still fucking awesome. Like, just all of it was great. So, yeah.
And also, I really like MJF's Twitter game.
He's just a dick and everyone loves him.
He's such a dick. You remember, quick tangent. You remember that post he did a while back on Twitter where he posted a picture of him like flexing in the mirror and says, "I don't play Dungeons and Dragons." Yeah. And all the nerds got super pissed because they didn't know he was like a heel and he's just being a dick.
Yep.
Like for the purpose of being a dick. I found that fucking hilarious because you had people like all of the really attractive nerds, like, you know, you had chicks posting bikini pics, and these dudes like that super ripped dudes that play Dungeons and Dragons all posting like, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and, and MJF is just like, he doesn't give a shit. He's so good. I love that he's actually triggering people. It's so good.
I don't know if a lot of it's intentional. He just is just like, well, I wonder if this will annoy people, and he just pisses off an entire fandom.
Exactly.
He just does a great job.
Incredible. But yeah, we'll talk more about NXT and AEW later on. So yeah, we'll move to you, Trent.
Okay. Yeah, I've essentially been into wrestling for as long as I can remember. I grew up with it, obviously. I have fond memories of going to my cousin's place when they had Foxtel and watching WWE with them, because we had Foxtel for a while, and they always had Raw and SmackDown on. Basically, like, when I got home, I would basically have enough time to just quickly grab some food and then just sit on the couch and watch Raw or SmackDown for a few hours until dinner. And it was a constant routine every week, and it was really good.
Yeah.
I've been to a few wrestling events live. I do remember me and my one of my best mates kind of grew up in liking wrestling. We would always wrestle on the trampoline. He nearly choked me out, actually.
Nice.
Funny story. He had a submission where he would basically just lock my he would lock. It was basically an armbar, but he did it in a different sort of way. Like, I was essentially face down, and he had a tighter, like, fucking wrench with his legs, and he got my other arm locked in his legs around my throat, and he was holding my other arm, and I had no way to tap, and he was essentially just choking me out, and he was yelling, "Tap!" And because I couldn't tap, he was just like, "All right, he's not tapping, I'm gonna wrench harder," and he nearly fucking choked me out. But then I got him back by throwing him off the trampoline onto the fucking grass. So yeah, I got him back. Don't worry. But I
would always wrestle on the trampoline too, but I was too scrawny a kid to actually do anything impressive. I would always try to like power bomb my little brothers and couldn't do it because I had like no strength at all.
I made him tap out immediately by hitting the figure 4, and it was good. It was good. But
all was right with the world.
Yep, all is right. But yes, essentially I was so heavy into wrestling. I had heaps of shirts and knockoff shirts. Actually, I remember my cousin, when he was into wrestling. He when he got out of it, he gave me a shirt he had, but it was a knockoff Rey Mysterio shirt. It was like a really cool image of Rey, but it said RAY Mysterio, and I was just like, oh well, okay. But I still wore it. I had. Literally, you go back to photos of me as a kid, I've got wrestling shirts on nearly all the time. It was
nice.
I was properly a wrestling kid. I loved everything about it. I even owned my school bully, actually. I owned him with wrestling facts and knowledge, because they were all into wrestling as well. Because he thought the Chris Jericho's code breaker was the Walls of Jericho. Like, he thought the code breaker was the name of the submission. And he thought the Walls of Jericho was the code breaker. Like, he got the moves mixed up. And then I hit him with facts and logic. And then...
facts and logic don't care about your feelings.
I won that exchange before he fucking pile drived me. But, anyway, so... yeah... I grew up with it. I had figurines, I had shirts, I had DVDs, I had the lot. I went to 2 live events in consecutive years. I've actually done a bit of research and found them because I knew we were going to be here, and I remember all of it now. The first one was 2008, sorry. It was the WWE SmackDown ECW tour, and they did a bunch of house shows in Australia. And that was good. That was interesting. I went there with my best mate. The main takeaways I remember from it, it's got the entire match card here, but the main thing I remember taking away from it is the Brothers of Destruction versus Mark Henry and MVP. And Undertaker's entrance literally made us shit ourselves and hide under the chairs. The Undertaker's entrance freaked us out so much that we legitimately hid. But it was so good. And, like, I don't remember any of the matches being exceptionally great. Like, there was, like, a CM Punk squashing Chavo Guerrero match. I do recall that. He, like, just beat the shit out of Chavo really quickly. And looking at this, though, it's got the match card for, like, they ran it in like 5 shows at different states. And basically all the cards are the same now that I'm looking at them, which is annoying. There was one or two different ones, but they're mostly the same. The other thing I remember is there was Finlay versus the Great Khali. Now, my best mate, his 2 favorite wrestlers were Rey Mysterio and the Great Khali. I don't know why. They're completely opposite.
Can you call the Great Khali a wrestler?
I don't know, but back then, the Great Khali was my mate's favorite wrestler, and everyone was booing the shit out of the Great Khali, and there is actual video footage that because my dad took us to the event, and he recorded a few parts where he could. There is video footage of me and my mate yelling, like, while everyone's booing the Great Khali, yelling, "Don't listen to him, Khali, you're awesome." There is
Nice.
If I can find it, I'll actually play it for you now, because I want you guys to see it. But
nice.
There is, yeah. So let's pretend if I got it, there it is. It's there for you. But
all right,
yeah,
there it is.
There is video footage of that happening. It is amazing. But yeah, no, those were my main memories from that one. And then we also went to, it was just me and my dad for the next one, the 2009 Raw live tour. So it was just Raw Superstars. I legit don't remember anything from this one. The only thing I remember is that at the start of the event, Justin Roberts was on the microphone and said, due to other commitments, John Cena has not been able to make it to this event because he was scheduled to appear, and he said if anyone wishes for a refund, they can leave now and go to the ticketing booth and get a refund. We didn't, but we stayed for the event, but I didn't watch. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember what happened in that event. Anyway, so yeah, those happened. I got out of WWE around 2013. So this was after.
So we got out around the same time then.
Yeah, this was after Pipe Bomb, but it was kind of like I was starting to just watch it less, and I don't remember when the Shield came in. That must have happened around when I left. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, the rise of the Shield was at later 2013. They debuted in late 2012, but they didn't actually. They were supposed to be CM Punk's lackeys or whatever.
I think I remember them debuting, but then I think it was because I was getting bullied for liking wrestling. Everyone just constantly hampering on me for liking wrestling. That I was just well, I kind of got a lot of other stuff I'm doing, so I just I just zoned out of it around then. But then 3 years later, I got back in. The bug just came back. Every so often, I'll just be like, I wonder what's happening. And just keep checking up on it. And then when I got heaps into YouTube around 2014, 2015, I found What Culture, and I checked them out because they did news videos, and I was just like, oh, well, I'll see what's happening with wrestling. And then I decided to get back into WWE, and I'm not even kidding, I think the first event I actually watched was Royal Rumble 2016.
Nice.
And I don't remember. I literally was just like, why does everyone hate Roman Reigns? I don't get what's going on. And then so I never.
Who is this AJ Styles guy that's debuting at number 3?
No, see, I heard because when I was watching everyone was saying oh, AJ Styles might be coming to WWE. This is fantastic. And then I saw a few of his highlight clips, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. But But then I actually remembered I owned an Impact game. There was literally TNA Impact was a PlayStation 2 game, and I remember AJ Styles was on the roster for that, and I was just like, oh, sick. And then AJ Styles came, and I was just like, the pop was fantastic. So I was excited, and I didn't know who he was, and I was just like, yeah, this is awesome. But it's just I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah, that was the same for me because he was champion when I got back into it. He was like the heel champion. Around the beginning of 2017, I was like, who is this guy? I have no clue who he is. And like the first thing I saw when I researched him was his debut at the Royal Rumble, and that pop is just awesome. And I immediately was like, okay, this guy's a big deal.
It's just focuses on Roman's shocked face.
Yeah, right. Literally the worst possible camera work. Who is this guy?
That was shit. That was shit. But
Yep.
And also
Yep.
Yep. No, but
no, they won't. No, they won't.
No, but I also had a bunch of wrestling games that me and my mates played. We always created our own characters. So I was just really heavy into it as a kid. Zoned out for 3 years around the Rise of the Shield and all that, and then got back into it and got into Cultaholic as well, and did a bit of research, figured out what happened in the years I'd missed, and realised, apart from the Shield, not a lot else happened. And then, no, the rise of Daniel Bryan happened as well.
Yeah, that happened.
But
that was awesome.
I missed... See, that's the annoying thing. I left when WWE was just starting to get good again. Like, when the Daniel Bryan and Shield thing happened. Like, because I watched it peak 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. That was, and everyone says that was the shit era that they fucked around ECW, and like not really a lot of interesting stuff happened. But like I was invested on like the build to WrestleMania 25. I was invested in the Orton Triple H stuff, and I loved all that sort of thing. And
slow, methodical wrestling.
I enjoyed it.
I know, me too. I loved Randy Orton as a kid.
Also, I forgot which Royal Rumble it is, but we didn't have pay-per-view back then. Like, I only watched Raw and SmackDown on Foxtel. I didn't really watch any of the pay-per-views because I couldn't buy them. But every so often I would go to my cousin's place because they were kind of half into wrestling. And I remember we bought a pay-per-view. I think it was Royal Rumble 2011. Mm-hmm. It was the one where Matt Hardy betrayed Jeff.
Oh,
and, like,
I'm not sure.
Hit him in the head with a steel chair when Jeff was WWE champion. That was peak awesomeness. Like, I was so invested. And then that built to, I think it was Mania 25, where it was Matt versus Jeff. And that
I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it was 2011 and then WrestleMania 25. That's what I believe it is. I may be wrong, but yeah, no. See, I just have a lot of fond memories as a kid with wrestling, and in more modern years, I got back into it 2016, and then I learned about the indies. I went out of my way to try and watch some indies. Like, I watched WCPW when it was made in mid 2016, and then I tried to watch some New Japan stuff, and then actually when New Japan came to Australia at the start of 2018. Me and my mate Brad went and saw them because he knew a lot more about New Japan compared to me. Yeah. And funnily enough, I asked about who were your favorite wrestlers when we were kids. When you were a kid, my favorites. This is gonna sound really dumb. Like, okay, obviously, like John Cena and Edge were some of my favorites, but I really liked William Regal and Cody Rhodes.
Nice.
Because Cody Rhodes, like William Regal, like he should have won a world championship. I'm disappointed he didn't. Yeah. Because in like 2008, that's when he became King of the Ring, and that's when his evil heel run was again. Because he was a fantastic heel, and like just his style of wrestling was always just like, he's gonna break someone's arm. This is phenomenal. Yeah. And like I was just heavily invested. And Cody Rhodes, he just stood out a bit amongst, like, when the Legacy was the thing, he always just stood out a bit more. Ted DiBiase wasn't that impressive. Orton was Orton. He wasn't. But Randy, like, Orton was Orton, but Cody just kind of just stood out a bit more. That's why, like, when I did the meet and greet option when New Japan came over, I met Cody and the Bucks, but I didn't know who the Bucks were at that time.
Nice.
And lo and behold, a year later they would be starting AEW. But
yeah, right.
So throughout 2018, I kind of just learned about the Bucks and the Elite. But I went there just to meet Cody, and I explained, look, when I was a kid, I actually watched and thought, like, I know you don't have a lot of great memories. Like, I know you like look back at WWE, like that's where you grew and that's where you developed and everything as a wrestler. But I thought you were a phenomenal wrestler. I even remember, like, the first memory I have, like, watching Cody Rhodes was when he betrayed Hardcore Holly to side with Ted DiBiase.
Nice.
And they won the World Tag Team Championships. And then I don't know why, like, I just have a lot of memories watching Cody Rhodes. And then the mask gimmick, the dashing gimmick, all that sort of thing. Like, I was just always invested with Cody Rhodes. And Cody was really grateful and thankful when I explained, dude, you're fucking awesome. Like, he was just really grateful when I told him all that. And so yeah,
it's really cool.
It is. It was awesome. And yeah, so that's all kind of my early memories with WWE and wrestling in general. Like, I love it. It's I know I got out of it, but I still love it. And now it's kind of like, it's a thing that's there. I have the network now, thanks to Brad. High five to you, mate. I appreciate you. I really want to get into AEW. It's just, I don't know how to work Fight TV. It's just confusing as fuck. But
nice.
I want to get into AEW, and NXT nowadays has just, it's stormed over Raw and SmackDown. I can't imagine sitting through Raw nowadays. Like, I see just the clips of Raw and SmackDown, and I just, like, go, ooh, let's go, this is fucked. But,
yeah, I can't exactly, even back in, like, 2017 and 2018 when I would watch Raw and SmackDown every week, I would only half pay attention. Usually I'd be, like, working on homework while I was like, watching or whatever. Like, just wasn't particularly interesting to me. Like, for Raw, like, you have a 3-hour show, and, you know, not a single part of it is exciting in any way. Like, literally the only parts I ever found myself actually liking when I got the opportunity to watch Raw, especially in recent times, was, like, either, you know, a Drew McIntyre match, a Ricochet match, or, like, something similar. Like, Ricochet's always very exciting, but,
yes.
Like, those were the only times where I found myself like, oh yeah, this is cool. But, because I love McIntyre, especially nowadays as the big bad heel boy. But, because that Claymore kick is a thing of beauty.
It is.
Just sitting through Raw is a chore. Like, and you know, it's supposed to be 3 hours of, like, you know, fun wrestling, but it's just not. Like, the storylines are shitty.
This was the other bullshit thing. I hate, like, even as a kid, I thought, well, like, I didn't think the ads were that intrusive. I didn't think ads, like, got in the way that much. But then, it was a few months ago. I was at a holiday home with a couple of mates, because one of my other mates his dad owned it, and they had Foxtel, and they just put Foxtel on randomly while we were all chilling by the water. And when I went upstairs, I saw that SmackDown was on, SmackDown Live, and I was just like, oh, I haven't actually seen a full episode in ages. I'll see what happens. And, like, I couldn't even watch 2 matches without 4 fucking ads getting in the way and interrupting the flow of things. Like, it felt so intrusive and interrupting that I was just like, I can't pay attention, because you cut back and then for some reason everything's changed and the match is like 2 minutes away from ending. Then there's about 2 minutes of intros, like, of people leaving the ring and getting back into the ring, and then the announcer's talking. Then the match starts, and 1 minute into the match starting, there's another ad, and it's bullshit. I legit, I can't watch now. It's just, it's ridiculous.
And I mean, like, that is surely a problem. Like, I've not really watched NXT or AEW live, but that's got to be a problem with those as well. I don't think you're going to be able to get out of that.
Well, hopefully the NXT replays on, like, when the NXT, like, when they just show it on the network after the USA version, hopefully it's not that intrusive and it flows better. Hopefully. Like that. Well, the episodes of NXT I did watch around the same time, they were all fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, uninterrupted, just great.
That was one thing that was really nice about NXT is like because it was always on the network, you barely had any ads. It was all you always got to see the matches in full. It was just really nice. And while it's great that they've moved up to the network, it's kind of sad that we don't get that full uninterrupted experience anymore.
No, it's if just for the ads alone, I can't stand watching Raw and SmackDown. It's just because it just doesn't feel right. It feels like the flow is being interrupted. I know there was ads, like in the era I watched WWE with ads, they were more tolerable. Like they didn't cut out at awkward moments. Like it was somewhat similar, but it just maybe because I was younger and I just didn't pay much attention. I don't know. It felt like it flowed better to me when I was a kid. Like just like the amount of time they used to cut out for ads and then come back to the show. I feel like it was just better then. Maybe it's because I have a better bad memory of it. I don't know. But modern day, like if I ever am at someone's place and they have Foxtel, try to watch Raw or SmackDown, and I just can't. It's just I can't do it. Yeah, I do think. I do believe other companies would do it a lot better. I do believe NXT would have better pacing. I'd hope. Yeah, like where you could actually see the meat of the match. Because, yeah. Anyway, enough about my hatred of ads. Fuck advertisement, but fuck making money. But
I hate capitalism.
Damn capitalism. But so that kind of blended into what my thoughts are on the state of modern WWE.
It's not very good.
No.
It's awful, and that's probably generous.
Yeah, I mean,
if we want to point at something like nowadays, like I kind of hoped SmackDown on Fox would change it a little bit. It hasn't. It's made slight improvements, but like I think SmackDown since it's moved to Fox has been better than it was on USA. Like, but not by a lot.
I think the start of the SmackDown Live era wasn't that bad. I thought that was good.
The middle of it, like 2017, early 2018, it was all pretty good then.
When Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, and John Cena were on most weeks, that was good. That was just fucking woo, good shit.
And it was pretty consistent throughout like the later 2017 and throughout 2018 as well. And then you got into 2019, it started to dip, and that was kind of sad.
Yeah, and the only thing I see with the Fox deal at the minute is that, yay, 2-man commentary booths. That's better. That's nice. Yes. That is so much better.
And Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez having a match at Saudi Arabia. That's great.
That's interesting. But I do feel like the more recent SmackDowns have actually been pretty good. I do feel like they've been alright. Although, the thing I thought was interesting is that I thought there was some sort of rivalry between USA Network and Fox Network, but then I see the WWE on Fox Twitter account tweeting things that happened from Raw. Yeah. So it's just like, are they just all mutual now? Do they not hate each other?
I don't think there was never really a rivalry there. They're very different networks. USA is mostly, USA is kind of like TNT. They're often they're more like a drama channel, and they just happen to show Raw, whereas Fox is very much a sports channel.
Yeah, no, I do. I get that. Like,
so I don't think there was ever really a rivalry there.
It's I think it's all good. Channel, but they have Yowie Wowie Bray Wyatt on the
right. I really thought Bray was gonna go to Raw, but I was wrong.
Everyone did. That would have made make the last third hour really interesting by having the Fiend in there and Bray Wyatt and the Firefly Funhouse just talking shit. Like, that would have made the third hour a little bit more interesting. But no,
sports.
He's on Smack. The end of this episode, the hashtag's going to be Yowie Wowie. I'm not even kidding. But
hashtag Yowie Wowie.
Yowie Wowie. But
that is, I don't know why he ended up on SmackDown. He probably shouldn't have, but whatever. I guess Fox wants all the popular shit. And people like the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, we'll see if it works.
And you know what people don't like? Seth Rollins. That's why he's on Raw.
Oh, fuck. Okay, look, I know, like, literally, even when I got back into WWE and I caught up with all the Shield stuff and the Shield betrayal, like, I thought, yeah, no, they're good, but I never really looked at any of the individuals as phenomenal. Like, I thought, then when Seth got better in singles matches and then he was just, like, blowing it out of the park, I thought, fuck yeah, he's a great wrestler. But even, like, none of his promos, even when he was a heel or when he was a face, none of them were interesting to me. And then
I thought he was a great heel. He just comes off as such a dick.
I mean, like, the him and Dean rivalry was pretty interesting, but then after that, I didn't care. Like, I was just like, yeah. But, like,
and to be fair to him, Tyler Black has always been a great wrestler. Like, he was great even before, like, in Ring of Honor and all that stuff. Like, he's always been great, but they never really gave him an opportunity to shine in singles matches until he turned heel.
Yeah,
so that was nice for him.
I do believe he's a phenomenal wrestler. It's just I don't get much of his promos. Like, I thought the dynamic of Dean just pranking him all the time and being fucking hilarious, and then Seth just being basically the slapstick heel, just getting fucking mustard poured.
Yeah, that was all like 2014. That was weird. When after he cashed in at WrestleMania, that's when he started to get really good.
Yeah, that was good. I will admit, I was a fan of that, but I've just never been much of a fan of his promos. I've just never really found much intrigue in them. But
yeah, I don't think. I mean, like, to be fair, the writing in WWE has never, especially in recent years, has not really been that great. So, no. I mean, I think if they gave him better material, he could pull it off, especially as a heel. I think his promos would be way better if he was a heel. But just, especially as a babyface, his promos are just so bland. I just don't want to listen to him.
He's like a fucking Count Dracula or some shit. It's ridiculous. But
I love that. It's such a meme.
Yeah, I thought Dean was rather consistent, like, except, like, he was really consistent.
Moxley has some great promos in WWE. His charisma is incredible.
And then they did kind of fuck him up near the end, like getting injections into the anus. Like, that was a bit weird.
You all smell,
man. But Roman, like, yeah,
suffering succotash,
cringe, and then yeah, I don't know.
After he got cancer, everyone was like, "Oh shit."
Now we have to like him.
Yeah, right.
But
to be fair, that is a really inspiring story.
It is,
in all fairness.
Actually, in all honesty, when he beat Brock Lesnar, and when he was actually defending the Universal Championship, I thought, yep, fuck it, all right, I'm on board. I'll get. I've
always liked Reigns, to be honest. I mean, because I wasn't watching when the Suffer and Succotash promo happened, but I always thought like he's a really dynamic moveset, and you know I never thought he delivered any bad promos, and that's maybe because I never saw the Suffer and Succotash one. But his promos weren't like great by any means.
No, but like he was. Just
I wasn't really on board with like everyone hating him. I wasn't really sure why.
So I somewhat understood because I did watch a lot of his promos and a few of his matches, and I was just like, he is pretty green, and a lot of his earlier singles matches just had the same pace, and it was just like, well, it's not really impressive, and like. I do admit, like, he's got an alright moveset. I do like the spear, I do like the drive-by, but I think the Superman punch is a bit, exaggerated.
I enjoy the Superman punch just because I love to see him jump off the fucking steps and, like, yeet! Yeet some dude with just a punch to the face. It's so dumb and I love it.
Yeah.
It's like John Cena's lightning fist. That's kind of how I feel about the Superman punch.
That's just him taking the piss. That
is him taking the piss.
They made that canon when they came to Melbourne and did the Super Showdown, and I laughed my ass off. And it was just
I did too.
They made it canon. It's now one of his finishes. But oh my god, John Cena just doesn't care anymore. He just does what he wants.
He's great. Midlife crisis John Cena is the best John Cena.
He is great, I will admit. Like he's always been great to me. Like in 2006 and 7, when he was the guy getting the shit beaten out of him by Edge, and he was like he threw Edge into a river, and then they threw, and then like his dad got involved, and Edge beat the shit out of his dad, and then he just came in and wrecked everything. Like, then like the aggression showed by John Cena then, because that's when he was just getting out of basic thugonomics and into, like, he was just angry all the time. He was just angry, Cena.
Just pissed.
Then he got into more of a babyface, like, oh, everyone loves or hates me, and like, I was just around for the Rock Cena thing, but I never understood why that actually happened. I didn't actually understand.
Dream match.
No, see, that's the thing, like, they said, oh, John Cena's been talking shit about The Rock. I never saw that. I was just like, wait, when did he do this? When did he talk shit about The Rock? And then all of a sudden,
the thing is, that program started at WrestleMania 27. Miz was defending the title against Cena with The Rock as the... Or I don't think The Rock was the referee, but the referee interfered. The Rock interfered with the match.
Yeah, The Rock was the host of the event, and Miz got a concussion. But Rock interfered in the event, and Rock bottomed Cena so Miz could win. But like, even prior to that, The Rock said, "Oh, you've been talking shit about me," and it's just like,
I didn't know that.
When? Like that was the part I always missed out. It's just like, when did John Cena talk shit about The Rock to make The Rock bottom him at WrestleMania, and then lead to a 1-year program to where they would face for once in a lifetime?
I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know. I missed the start of it, and I was just confused throughout the whole thing. So, yeah. But I still thought it was somewhat enjoyable. But, yeah. Anyway, we've kind of covered how we got into wrestling and state of modern WWE. We kind of agree that...
I don't really watch it. It doesn't interest me.
No. I randomly subscribe and unsubscribe from the WWE YouTube channel because, like, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch the clips, and then when it gets particularly bad, I'll just zone out. Like, I unsubscribed, and then when I heard about the Firefly Funhouse, and I was just like, all right, I'm intrigued, and I resubscribed, and I was just like, oh my god, this is fantastic. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've got down here the Wednesday Night Wars, talking about both NXT and AEW separately and their newfound competition.
Yeah.
So you've definitely been into NXT a lot longer than me.
So I originally got into NXT probably, I think the first takeover I watched live was New Orleans. And obviously that's considered one of the best takeovers to date. And you know what? And that was the site of 2 5-star matches. The ladder match for the North American Championship, and Gargano Ciampa won. So, and you know what? What happened was how I first got into NXT. You know, I'd heard of it throughout my first year of watching WWE again of 2017. Like, I basically watched it through all year. And 2017 wasn't a bad year for WWE. You know, you had like Shield reunion, all this kind of stuff. Kurt Angle being the Shield's dad, I thought that was amazing. I thought
Triple H joining them briefly just to make everything, like, he wants to be a part of everything.
I thought I don't know if that was 2017. I think that was like on some house show, but I really enjoyed WWE in 2017 because I was just getting back into it. But I originally heard about NXT in 2018 after Gargano Almas, and they had the first 5-star match under the WWE banner since Punk Cena at Money in the Bank 2011, and I was like, I should probably watch this. So I went back. I didn't watch any other part of the event, although in retrospect I should have, because there was some other great matches. You had on that card there was Aleister Black versus Adam Cole, an Extreme Rules match. Some pretty good stuff on that card. I think the Authors of Pain were defending their titles or something. I can't remember exactly. Undisputed Era probably. So there were some great matches on that card, but I only watched Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas. And that match is like 30 minutes of just awesome wrestling. And you know, it's the classic tale of so that was the match that originally got me into NXT. I didn't know who either of them were, but I was immediately invested in Johnny Gargano as a babyface. He's one of the best babyfaces in wrestling of all time, in my opinion. He's incredible. He's one of the best babyfaces of all time. He's incredible at what he does. Like the way he can get the crowd on his side is almost unparalleled, especially nowadays.
I'm glad he's back to being a face now after that weird stint as a tweener.
Yeah. That was interesting. I liked the change in the character, but I'm glad he's a babyface again. So that match, and it was the classic tale of the manager getting involved, Zelina Vega, and got pulled off a few moves while Andrade had the ref distracted and all that stuff. And then when Candice got involved, Gargano's wife, I was immediately like, okay, I love this. And so that's to this day one of my favorite matches in NXT history. Obviously, it is considered generally to be one of the best. It is one of the very few matches that kept me completely enthralled for 30 long minutes. And it didn't feel like 30 long minutes because it flew by. It was great. And so then I started watching every TakeOver live. After New Orleans, that was when I was like, okay, I officially adore NXT. It's like, it blew everything the main roster was doing out of the water entirely. Like, because 2018 was the year Shayna Baszler won the championship. She was feuding with Kairi Sane, and the Mae Young Classic happened in 2017. I remember watching that live. That was how I got introduced to Kairi Sane, because she won the first one. And then eventually Io Shirai and Toni Storm and all that stuff. But yeah, so then you had the ladder match. That was a 5-star match. Great stuff. Then Gargano Ciampa won, one of the best NXT matches in history. Definitely one of the best Extreme Rules matches in WWE history as a whole. And there aren't a lot of other promotions, especially before AEW, that did Extreme Rules or no disqualification matches as well as WWE. Like most other promotions out there focused on like work rate and proper wrestling, but you can't quite find Extreme Rules matches like you can find them in WWE. Like they're on another level. And this just proved it. Like the storytelling, I wasn't there for most of the Gargano Ciampa storyline, but just the storytelling after learning about it, like you appreciate it so much more. And so NXT is right now my favorite thing going in wrestling. I enjoy it so much. I love pretty much all the characters going right now. Now that Finn Balor's back and he's just turned heel, I'm so excited to see that match. Him and Balor and Gargano. That's gonna absolutely tear the house down. So yeah, just it's so exciting to watch. I completely adore it. So every takeover, I'm always super excited. I'm stoked for War Games coming up in a few weeks. It's just gonna be a great time. It's just a great time to watch NXT.
I got into it rather late. I didn't know about the network as well. Obviously, how could you not know about the network? They were yelling about it every 5 minutes. But
$10 a month.
Yep, $10 a month, $10.99. But I kind of I didn't get into it for a while because I didn't have access to the network. I didn't have a lot of money. But Brad hooked me up. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. And
I decided to go out of my way to watch all of the Gargano Ciampa matches, and there was how many was there at that time? 2 or 3? I don't know.
3. There was 3 Gargano Ciampa matches.
There was 3, wasn't there? Yes, and that got me invested. I also got invested when McIntyre came back because I watched him in WCPW, and I was just like, because WCPW ran like a 30-man rumble to try and get the championship off of McIntyre before he went back to NXT, and that was awesome. And then when he came back, I was just like, this is sick, because it's all happening in real time. It's happened like a week after each other. But and then that's when I probably got into Being the Elite as well, and they killed off Adam Cole, because this was peak when Being the Elite was comedy. It was just fucking hilarious, because the Jacksons Omega, Rhodes, Marty Scurll, and everyone. They were all just fucking hilarious. And then they killed off Adam Cole. And then when he appeared in NXT, they all just spat out their coffees and they're just like, "It's a fucking ghost!" It was just amazing. But yeah. So and then that got me into being the Elite and watching them. But yeah, NXT, like I feel bad for not going out of my way to watch more of it because I know it's just consistently good. It's
not even consistently good. It's consistently incredible.
Consistently incredible. I'll take your words for it.
Yeah.
But I know just from the look of it and from the amount of praise it always gets, and then even the matches and the takeovers I have seen have all been great. Like, because there's less fluff. There's less, here's a promo and here's a bunch of shit that's not interesting that normally is on Raw and SmackDown. No, here's one match, here's a quick little segment, and here's another match. Let's keep it going. And it's just like, it's paced so well. It's always intriguing and investing, and it's just incredible. And I am in a position where I can watch more of it. I just haven't put the time into it. I really want to. I wish I could say the same for AEW because they've done 4 shows at the time. This is probably not going to come out for a little bit, but at the time of recording, they've done 4 shows.
This is before Full Gear. This is before Full Gear.
So yeah, you can tell, but we plan ahead, guys. We plan very far ahead. But they just appear to have everything sorted. They came out the field running, and they've just smashed the park thus far. Like that, I think the whole reason, like, All In was obviously just because they wanted to try and see if people cared, and they wanted to prove a point to Meltzer. Then they realized, all right, we got something here. If we will put on a few more events, and then we'll actually take the time to prepare and set up a show that's consistently booked. Like that, they took the time and didn't hastily go into making a TV show. They took their time, now they've made something that's just consistent. I know we're only 4 episodes in, but it is consistent, and I'm really impressed with it thus far. And I want to get into it, but as I said, I need to figure out Fight TV, and I need to make more money. So see how that goes. But yeah, NXT and AEW,
honestly, you don't need any wrestling other than Wednesday nights nowadays.
No,
you just don't.
You don't, and it's kind of sad that Raw and SmackDown have fallen off their high perches because no one cares about them anymore. Like, well, actually, no, a lot of people care about them, but a lot more people that are just into the wrestling for the wrestling.
Yeah, the hardcore fans are all NXT and AEW for good reason.
Yeah, and you're allowed to have your little gimmicks. You're allowed to have your little funny things, like Orange Cassidy. He's just a fucking meme. You know what?
I really appreciate AEW because they aren't afraid to just let their wrestlers have some freedom with their character work. Like, they're not afraid to, like, just these small moments that are just kind of funny with, people waving at the camera. Like, there was Chuck Taylor or whoever of the Best Friends that was like, "Hi, Mom," in the camera or whatever this past week on AEW. Like, I appreciate stuff like that. And I think that's really cool that, because AEW is pretty much run by people like, they're, in the grand scheme of things, Cody and the Bucks, they're young. They're really young. So they're run by people who understand the business, who understand, the type of humor, and they understand their audience. So they're like, "Oh yeah, just go at it. If you want to, like, wave to the camera, go for it. Like, we're not going to, like," I just really appreciate stuff like that. And Triple H, he gets it, but he doesn't, like, whatever it is, AEW, they just let their wrestlers have that kind of creative freedom, and that's really, really cool.
Triple H gets the need for consistent, good wrestling. He gets
if you want just old-fashioned consistency and fantastic wrestling, NXT is the place to go. And I still love NXT. Like I said, it's my favorite thing going as of right now, but I don't really watch AEW because I don't have a means to. And I've never watched any of their shows. I watched the one that was on for free. Whichever one that was. Fight for the Fallen or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't remember which one it was.
Fighter Fest. It
might have been Fighter Fest. But yeah, I don't have the kind of money to buy the pay-per-views. And I really want to watch Omega versus Moxley. I really want to see that match. But I just am not going to pay $60 for it. You know?
No, I think AEW have done well in the fact that they just said, all right, well, look, we do want to plan out storylines that will just, then they've built the storylines around the characters. I know,
yeah,
a lot of the storylines haven't really kicked off yet because at the moment a lot of it's just been, okay, here's the tag team tournament and here's Jericho in the Inner Circle. Like, that was a bit odd. Like, once Jericho had a fucking gang and Jake Hager was the muscle of the gang, that was a little bit unusual, but it was actually now I'm already give them a week and I'm already invested. Like, I'm just like, well,
yeah, right.
This is pretty good. And
one thing I thought was funny is that Jericho on episode of AEW was like, "We the People is dead. It was bad creative," and then Jake Hager comes into his Bellator fight and does the "We the People" thing. Damn, is it really bad creative if you're still doing it on every Bellator fight, Jake Hager? Come on, buddy.
Oh my god.
So that was a bit weird. I think Jericho definitely went off his bullet points there, but like he probably wasn't supposed to say that, and now he kind of looks like a moron because he said, it's bad creative. But
I feel like
Jake Hager did it anyway.
Just doing what he wants at this point in time.
He's like, the man's like 50. You can't blame him.
No, he's a walking meme machine. He thinks anything he can do can go over, and 99% of it goes over.
To be fair, a lot of the things he says, he can just say words, and because he's so charismatic, they just get over. The List, for example.
No, seeing him in Adelaide when he was with Fozzy, everything was like, even when he wasn't singing, you were just paying attention. You wanted to know what he said. Although I did found, like, he said on a podcast episode that he doesn't just put people on the list when the list gimmick was big, because people would always ask, "Oh, can you put me on the list?" And it's just like, no, get your own list. This is my list. And like, it did get a little bit cringy towards the end, and then literally in the Adelaide show, it's just like he always he said he doesn't like to cross over music with wrestling, and he just as a one-off, like he brought up the light-out jacket. He brought out the light-up jacket, and that was sick. And then he said, "Adelaide, you just made the list!" And then everyone cheered, but I was just like, ugh, that's cringy. But it's just like, what? Thanks. I cool, but I thought you didn't want to...
cheap pop. I think it works.
Yeah, no, obviously it was a cheap pop. I didn't care for it. I thought the light-up jacket was cool just because it worked with the music, but literally he stopped halfway through a song, yelled, "You just made the list," and then the song continued. I was just like, nah.
That's kind of funny.
I'm here for music, mate, but thank you. Anyway.
Damn.
But I do feel like AEW, they know what they're doing. They're fresh, they've just started, but they've already got something going very well. It's just like, wasn't it like Taz complains that he wasn't invited to the SmackDown reunion thing, and then a week later it's just like, oh, Taz is on AEW Dark, guys. We got him. But they know they can keep up to date, and they know what the people are after, and they're delivering just good wrestling. And once the tag team all the champions are established, I reckon they will start kicking off with the storylines, because there's already like Hangman Page is having a rivalry with everyone. Pac, I really love the thing between Pac and Moxley about how Moxley just wants to fucking murder everyone, and Pac's just like, no, I want a shot at the world championship, and if you make me lose here, you're a dick. And then he did. And I a lot of it's just straightforward, and it makes sense, and it's great. And then you have fucking Seth Rollins coming on to the Firefly Funhouse, burning down the set, guys. burning down the set of the most popular thing WWE have going right now, making you feel bad for Bray Wyatt, who's meant to be the heel, because he's just like, Seth, him angrily yelling, Seth, that was just like, oh no, what is he going to do? And then he said, why are you doing this to me? And he's like, he genuinely sounds scared. And it's just like, don't try to make, don't make
scared?
You feel sympathy. Don't feel sympathy. Stop. Fuck. You're like a dying crow. Stop it. Fuck. But
fucking hell, dude.
Yeah, but then they make you feel sympathy for the heel, and make you hate the good guy even more, who everyone already hates because he's a dick. And yeah, I don't know.
That's Seth Rollins being the top babyface in the company. Did you hear that?
That's also Seth Rollins being the top heel of the company.
Yeah.
He just does the same shit.
It's like Shane McMahon literally doesn't change his character and is now the top heel.
Shane McMahon, best pure striker in WWE according to WWE 2K 2020. 2K20 literally has him as one of the best strikers, and it's
that's
abysmal.
unfortunate.
Yep, it is. Yeah, and anyway, so that I don't know what else we have to talk about. I think what else do we?
I was going to mention.
Cover?
Yeah, there was we could talk about the indies. I'm not really familiar with the indies, but
literally the only indies I'm familiar with were WCW and Defiant before they fucked off, and the only other ones are like a few smaller ones in Adelaide, like Wrestle Rampage, and there was another one, IPW, I think it was. Was it I don't know.
Yeah.
I did a tryout with the one that's not Wrestle Rampage, and just so I could learn about wrestling, how to maintain fitness in wrestling. And Wrestle Rampage, I got into it because my mate's a wrestler, and I want to start learning shit from him if I've got time. Because he's a 10-year fucking veteran, and Jesus Christ. But, those are the only indies I'm very familiar with. But, I've always been a WWE guy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, same here. I've watched a few New Japan matches here and there. I've watched, I went out of my way once to watch from one of the Super Junior tournaments a couple of years back when Will Ospreay and Ricochet had a match, and everyone was raving about it. It was that one where they just did this, copied each other a lot, did the same thing in synchronized. They're basically synchronized dancers, and they did backflips and shit and synchronized at the same time. And I was like, whoa, there's not a lot of substance to this match, but whoa.
Seeing all those gifs, it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Whoa, look at these guys go. Mental. Wow.
New Japan does seem like something I really... If I knew Japanese, I would fucking get into it properly, because I want to understand what they're saying.
I watched, I remember getting the New Japan World for a month, just so I could go back and watch some of the things and some of the old matches, and then some of the things, as well as watch Wrestle Kingdom. I think that was this year, in January. I watched Wrestle Kingdom, which was it wasn't as good as it has been in previous years. You had Omega Okada in 2017. You had whatever.
Yeah, losing Okada, and losing Omega and the Bucks and everyone. That definitely hit. And
you had Omega.
Japan.
I think main event was Omega Tanahashi this year. I wasn't as big of a fan of that match as a lot of people were. I just thought it, given the last few main events, I wasn't quite as impressed. I think it went a bit long. It was 40 minutes or something, some absurd amount of time. But yeah, it wasn't a bad match by any means. Of course, it was Omega and Tanahashi. It's not going to be a bad match. But I almost want to watch some of the G1 stuff because Moxley was in it this year. You had Moxley and Ospreay both in it this year, which is great. So yeah, I want to see if I can check out some of those matches. Everyone was raving about the Moxley Ishii match, which was supposedly really good. Yeah, we'll see.
I just want to get into it because I love Japanese wrestling. It's so much more technical and hard hitting, and it's just more impressive in general. It's just like a lot of it's just like, ooh, this guy's gonna knock your head off. And like, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna record a video later about why I'm intrigued and want to go to Japan. But one of the reasons is because like their culture is heavily based on respect, and anyone that goes to like any Japanese fan that goes to a Japanese wrestling show, they're always quiet during the entrances. They're always quiet during the duration of the match. But when they pull something big out of the bag, they give respect to the wrestlers by applauding. Like the energy's so different, but it's just the energy's so different, but it also is really interesting. And I love the Japanese style of wrestling and how hard hitting and impactful it is. Like that's another reason everyone's so quiet. So when you hear a chop, you hear that chop, and you feel it. It's just like, oh, this is fucked. But
fantastic.
That's why what I was saying. If we do go to Japan, I want to go to either a New Japan show or an indie promotion, or like what are some of the other Japanese promotion? There's fucking
there's like Noah, All Japan.
Yeah.
There's Stardom. They're all female. We should try to line up our trip with like your Wrestle Kingdom or your Dominion or whatever. See if we can go to one of the big shows.
Whatever we can afford. Whatever we can afford. But I agree.
Wrestle Kingdom is looking to be pretty good this year. I'm really interested to see Okada versus Ibushi. I think that's going to be really good.
Right.
I'm not too familiar with New Japan. Basically the only reason I know I'm familiar with any of the names as well, like they're not really character driven like they are in WWE and AEW, but it's all about the good wrestling in New Japan, and that's awesome. But like, they're still very general characters. Like obviously you have your gimmicks, like you have Switchblade Jay White, you have Okada as the Rainmaker.
Jay White's reinvention of the Bullet Club has truly intrigued me. When he took over, I was just like, oh shit, this is they've turned serious and angry again, and it's like this is the Bullet Club of old.
That's kind of why I'm excited for Finn Balor's heel run in NXT.
He literally on Twitter, I forgot, it was I think it was WWE on Fox, or it was one of the accounts that quoted Finn Balor saying, "The Prince is back."
Yeah,
and it's like, if he comes back as Prince Devitt, that would be sick. I doubt I don't think he will, but do that. But imagine it, like, that would be sick if he did.
I think he's gonna have a very similar character to his heel run in New Japan. But I don't think he's gonna go by Prince Devitt.
No, the other thing about Finn Balor though is that it's just I didn't really get the demon. Like, I thought Finn Balor was a tremendous wrestler, and I thought he could cut a promo, he could do the work if he was just given the tools to do it. But then, like, I do kind of get it, actually, like, when his back's against the wall and he needs to pull something out to win an unbeatable match, he pulls out the demon.
Yeah.
But I feel like now that he's back in NXT, will the demon... Now that he's a heel, will he use the demon? Like, I don't understand. Know. Like, it just...
Yeah, we'll see. I guess it depends.
Just, the canon of it is also weird. Like, I feel like... It
seems like more of a babyface thing, doesn't it? Like, it feels like something he should only do if he's a babyface.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whip out the face paint. Like,
yeah.
Even though it's called the demon.
Whip out his dick.
It definitely... Whip out his penis. But, I mean, you don't have to whip it out. You can see it anyway. It's just...
Dude, he has a massive schlong.
Dude. No, but,
Dude, imagine Finn Balor doing the windmill. That probably causes, like, a shift in like, the fucking gravity of the earth.
The tectonic plates just shift because of Finn Balor doing the windmill.
Woo!
Oh, God.
This is the reason why we started a podcast, people.
I'm clipping that's becoming a clip, you know. Like, us talking about Finn Balor is becoming a clip.
Finn Balor's massive penis. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
This is what you subscribed for. I hope you're prepared.
This is why you follow us on Twitter and Facebook at FireStorm Pod.
Hey,
and email
shameless
us
plug.
Shameless plug. We have to promote it. Like, how else are we gonna? How else is anyone gonna see our ingenious tweets?
We have some great Twitter game.
I still can't get it.
We put Seth Rollins' Twitter game to shame.
We do. I can't believe you screenshotted that part of the Discord chat and put it up, but I'm glad you did now. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was good. All right. Well, I don't think
we're pretty much done. We ended on a weird note, Finn Balor's dick, but it's all right.
You know,
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to end it. All right. So if you want to see us perform the helicopter,
that's a Patreon exclusive.
$10 tier, motherfucker. You're not getting that shit for free.
Oh yeah, we're giving that. You better be paying us money if you want to see that.
Do the outros. Go
okay.
God.
So thank you all for listening. This was kind of one of the most free-form podcasts we've done. We just kind of talked random shit pretty much, but it was a fun time. Hopefully y'all had fun listening to us.
We literally spent half an hour talking about how we got into wrestling. I didn't think it was going to go for that long.
I didn't think it was either.
All the memories started coming back, so had to talk about them.
Trent just like started going and didn't stop.
No, I had a lot of my childhood was defined by wrestling. I took my figures everywhere. I always watched the DVDs. I was heavily into it as a kid. Now it's all about the work rate and less of the fucking goofy shit. And I think everyone can agree. Everyone can agree the Wednesday Night Wars are going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah. I'm very excited about the future of NXT and AEW. Very excited to see where those go. Anyway, like we were saying, hopefully y'all had fun listening to us chat about the wraslin. Again, thank you all for listening. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at FireStorm Pod, where we will be posting clips from each episode in case you missed it. But if you're gotten this far, you probably didn't miss it. And we'll also be posting various shit posts with various hashtags. Hashtags that you may or may not want on your feed, but if you follow us, you want it. You want it on your feed. Trust us, you want it on your feed.
Use hashtag Firestorm Podcast to talk to us.
Yes, if you want to send us a tweet, you can tag us or use the hashtag Firestorm Podcast to tell us how dumb we are. To demand a video of us doing the helicopter, whatever it is you want from us, we may or may not respond.
You're gonna have to pay money to do that. $5 for Gus, $5 for me. They're independent.
Independently. We'll have either we'll do that a real life video of that, or we'll have a commission from a hentai animator. We'll get someone who animates hentai to animate our characters doing the helicopter. Speaking of helicopter, I think Finn Balor achieves liftoff with his. He does the helicopter. I think his lifts him off the ground. He defies gravity. So also if you want to send us an email with a question or a suggestion, email us at firestormproductions2@gmail.com. No caps, and that's the number 2. So yell at us, tell us we suck, tell us to blow you, tell us to do the helicopter, whatever it is.
Or do any other wrestling chant. Yeah. Do the helicopter is a quite
Cena sucks, famous whatever it is you want to
wrestling chant.
Yeah, whatever wrestling chant you want to send us, feel free to email us or leave it in the comments down below. Again, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week with another episode of the Firestorm Podcast. Bye.
Bye-bye.